There's a moment in life when you realize something has changed, but you can't quite put your finger on it. It's subtle at first, like noticing the stairs seem a bit steeper than they used to, or that standing up from a chair requires a little more effort. It's not a sudden shift, but a slow, creeping sensation that what was once effortless now takes just a bit more thought, a bit more strength. And at first you tell yourself it's nothing. Maybe I'm just tired, you think. Maybe I didn't sleep well. But deep down there's a flicker of awareness, a quiet voice in the back of your mind whispering, "This is different." And it's that moment, that undeniable realization, that feels like a crossroad. Do you push it aside, pretending nothing's changed, or do you face it head-on, knowing that recognizing the shift isn't a sign of weakness, it's a moment of power? Because the truth is, acknowledging the change doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're stepping into a new chapter, one where you choose to take control before the decline spirals. It's not about clinging to what was. It's about preparing for what can still be. When you open your eyes to the reality of your body's signals, you're not admitting defeat. You're taking the first, most important step toward rewriting the next part of your story. But what so many people don't talk about is the emotional weight that comes with these changes. It's not just about feeling physically slower. It's about what that slowness represents. Suddenly, it's not just the stairs feeling steeper. It's the fear that maybe you won't be able to chase after your grandkids at the park like you used to. It's the pain of wondering if the hobbies you once loved, dancing, gardening, hiking, are slipping away, becoming distant memories instead of vibrant parts of your life. The frustration doesn't come from the physical struggle alone. It comes from the emotional battle of watching your world shrink, bit by bit. And for many, there's a deep sadness in that. It feels like losing pieces of yourself, as if each stiff joint and each cautious step is a reminder of a life that once felt larger, fuller. But here's the twist. The emotion that weighs so heavy on your chest can also become your greatest motivator. That sadness can push you to fight back, to reclaim what's yours. It's not about pretending the struggle doesn't exist. It's about using the pain as fuel. When you stand up, stretch, or move, despite the ache, you're not just exercising your muscles. You're reminding yourself that you still have power over your story. The emotions tied to losing mobility don't have to pull you down. They can be the very thing that lifts you back up. And beneath those emotions, there's often a deeper fear that few people are willing to speak out loud. The fear of becoming a burden. It's the thought that maybe one day you won't be able to do simple tasks on your own. That someone might have to help you up the stairs, carry your groceries, or even tie your shoes. It's a fear rooted not in pride but in the desperate desire to hold on to your independence. Because the idea of relying on others for the most basic parts of life feels suffocating. It's not just about the inconvenience. It's about the heartbreak of thinking you might lose the freedom to live life on your own terms. But here's what many don't realize. Every step you take now, every small effort to stretch, strengthen, and stabilize, isn't just about how you feel today. It's about investing in the person you want to be tomorrow. It's about safeguarding your independence so that you don't have to rely on others down the line. By choosing to move now, you're not only fighting for yourself, you're fighting for the future version of you. The one who still wants to take walks in the park, carry a grandchild in your arms, or stroll through the grocery store without second-guessing every step. You're not just exercising. You're declaring to the world that you refuse to be sidelined. That fear of being a burden. It doesn't have to be your reality. Not if you start reclaiming your strength today. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they realize their mobility is shifting is thinking they need to push themselves harder to catch up. As if intense workouts or hours of physical activity will somehow rewind the clock. But the secret isn't in extreme effort. It's in consistency. It's in the 10-minute daily stretch that eases your joints, the steady balance exercises that rebuild stability, the short but meaningful walks around your block. Because it's not about doing the most, it's about doing something every single day. Consistency is the quiet, unstoppable force that creates lasting change. It's not the single day of overexertion that matters. It's the small, repetitive actions that stack up over time, building strength layer by layer. The truth is, your body doesn't need you to move mountains. It needs you to move steadily, even if it's just a few steps each day. And here's the magic. Those small moments of movement, when done consistently, create a ripple effect. They awaken dormant muscles, strengthen joints, and build the kind of resilience that no sudden burst of effort ever could. Because the path to lasting mobility isn't forged through extremes, it's built by the quiet, steady rhythm of daily care. And maybe the most freeing realization of all is this: movement doesn't have to mean walking. For so long, people have tied their sense of activity to how far they can walk or how many steps they can track. But movement is so much more than that. It's the slow, deliberate stretches you do in a chair. It's the gentle flow of a water aerobics class, where the weightlessness of the water cradles your joints. It's the rhythmic sways of chair yoga, allowing you to move without the pressure of standing. Movement doesn't have to look a certain way. It simply has to exist. And when you release yourself from the idea that walking is the only form of movement, an entirely new world opens up. Suddenly, you realize that staying active isn't about how far you can go. It's about how intentionally you can move. Every seated stretch, every water workout, every gentle balance exercise is a victory, not a compromise. And what's more, it's a reminder that your worth isn't tied to your ability to walk miles. It's tied to your commitment to keep moving, however that looks for you. There's a moment that shakes you awake, the close call. It happens in an instant, but the fear lingers long after. Maybe you misstep coming down the stairs, and for a split second your balance wavers. Your heart leaps into your throat, and time seems to slow. Your hand reaches out, grasping for the railing, a table, anything to steady yourself. You catch yourself, barely, but the shock hits harder than the fall ever could. That single moment, that near miss, stays with you. Suddenly, walking across the kitchen or stepping into the shower doesn't feel automatic anymore. It feels like a risk. And that fear, that deep-rooted anxiety of "what if I hadn't caught myself?" starts to creep into your daily life. It whispers, "Be careful," every time you stand up. It makes you question your every move. But here's the thing. Fear doesn't have to paralyze you. It can push you. That close call can either trap you in a cycle of caution, or it can ignite a fire within you, a determination to never feel that helpless again. It's not about living in fear of falling. It's about preparing yourself so that you don't have to. Strengthening your legs, practicing balance exercises, and building core stability become more than just activities. They become armor. Every small exercise is a step toward confidence, a promise to yourself that the next time life tries to knock you down, you'll stand taller than before. Because the lesson isn't about avoiding close calls. It's about making sure you're strong enough to rise every single time. And yet, for so many people, there's a silent struggle that follows these wake-up moments, the hesitation to ask for help. There's a deep sense of pride in being independent, in doing things yourself, in moving through life without relying on anyone or anything. So when the suggestion of using a cane, walker, or balance aid comes up, it feels less like a solution and more like a defeat. If I use a walker, doesn't that mean I've given up? Won't people see me as weak? These thoughts are loud and they're painful. But the truth, the raw, undeniable truth, is that asking for help is not a sign of surrender. It's a declaration of strength. Asterisk asterisk, it means you're choosing safety over pride. It means you're fighting for your independence by using tools that keep you moving rather than staying stuck. A cane doesn't mean you've lost. It means you're taking charge. A walker doesn't scream frail. It shouts, "I still want to move, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep going." True strength isn't in hiding your struggles. It's in facing them head-on and using every tool at your disposal to build a life of confidence and freedom. Because when you embrace the support, you're not giving up control, you're reclaiming it. But there's something even more powerful than the tools you use. It's the people you surround yourself with. Community. It's easy to feel isolated when your mobility starts to change. Maybe you stop going on group walks because you can't keep up, or you skip family outings because you don't want to slow anyone down. The fear of being seen as the one who needs extra help can be enough to keep you at home. But here's the thing. Isolation isn't protection. It's a slow, silent thief that robs you of connection, of joy, of the simple pleasure of being with others. That's why finding a community of people who understand, whether it's a senior exercise class, a balance training group, or even a local Tai Chi session, becomes more than just about movement. It becomes about belonging. Because when you move with others, something magical happens. The struggle feels lighter. The victories feel bigger. And suddenly you're not just fighting for yourself, you're part of something larger. There's laughter when someone wobbles during a balance pose, encouragement when someone completes an exercise they couldn't do last week, and shared pride when progress, no matter how small, is made. Movement, when done in community, stops being a lonely battle. It becomes a collective journey. And every step you take together. Yet, what often goes unnoticed is that mobility isn't just physical. It's mental. The fear of falling, the anxiety of losing balance, the worry of injury. These mental battles can be just as immobilizing as weak muscles. The mind can become a prison, whispering doubts every time you move. What if I fall? What if I hurt myself again? What if I can't get back up? These what-ifs are heavy chains, binding you to fear more than any physical limitation ever could. But the key to breaking free isn't waiting for those fears to disappear. It's moving forward despite them. Every time you complete a stretch without pain, every time you balance for a few extra seconds, every time you step outside for a short walk, you're not just strengthening your body, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching your mind that you are capable, that you are not fragile, that you can trust yourself again. It's not about silencing the fear. It's about proving it wrong over and over again. And with every small victory, the mental chains loosen until one day, you realize you're not moving cautiously out of fear. You're moving confidently with freedom. But there's something even more foundational to all of this: nutrition. Because what fuels your body directly impacts how it moves. It's not just about exercise. It's about how you nourish yourself from the inside out. The foods you eat either build you up or break you down. Inflammation from processed foods can stiffen your joints, while dehydration can weaken your muscles and throw off your balance. But the right nutrition, foods rich in calcium, magnesium, and vitamins D and C, fuels your body like high-octane gas. Leafy greens support bone strength. Berries fight inflammation. Bananas balance electrolytes, keeping your muscles from cramping. And water, simple, life-giving water, keeps everything moving from your circulation to your joints. It's not just about eating healthy. It's about eating to move. Every bite you take is a choice, to either build strength or feed the very issues that hold you back. And when you start to see food not as comfort but as fuel, you unlock a new level of mobility. Because it's not just your muscles doing the work. It's the nutrients you give them that power every stretch, every step, every move. Losing one form of movement doesn't mean losing movement altogether. It's a hard truth to accept when you realize you can't move the way you used to. When a long walk leaves you winded or bending down to tie your shoes feels like a battle. There's a quiet grief that comes with those moments, a sense of mourning for the body you once had. But here's the thing. Just because one door closes doesn't mean every door is locked. Movement evolves, and so must we. The key is to stop measuring your worth by what you used to do and start celebrating what you can do now. Maybe you can't jog through the park, but you can dance in a chair. Perhaps long walks are tough, but water aerobics lets you move freely without pain. A gentle yoga flow, a short stretching routine, or even seated exercises can reignite that feeling of strength and grace. It's not about comparing yourself to who you were. It's about discovering new ways to move and finding joy in those moments. Because the truth is, movement isn't about running marathons. It's about reclaiming the feeling of freedom in your body, however that looks today. When you let go of the idea that movement has to be all or nothing, you realize that every small stretch, every lift of a leg, every twist of the torso is a victory. And those victories, they build momentum not just physically but emotionally too. But this journey isn't always a straight line. There will be setbacks. Moments when the pain flares up, when an injury sidelines you, or when the progress feels so slow that you wonder if it's even worth it. It's frustrating. It's disheartening. And sometimes it feels like all the work you've done is for nothing. But here's what no one tells you. Setbacks aren't the end of the story. They are part of the process. Just because you take one step back doesn't mean you've lost the fight. It means you're human. Strength isn't built by never falling. It's built by getting back up every time you do. Think about it. When a child learns to walk, they stumble more than they stride. But they keep going. Why? Because falling is part of learning balance. And the same goes for you. When you miss a day of exercise, when you overdo it and have to rest, when you feel like you're moving backward, you're not failing, you're learning. You're adjusting. You're finding a new way forward. The real strength comes not from perfect progress but from the sheer will to keep trying. Each time you start again, whether it's with a slow stretch, a careful step, or a balanced pose, you're proving that you are not defined by your setbacks. You are defined by your comebacks. And here's the powerful truth. Your journey doesn't just affect you. It ripples outwards to everyone around you. When you choose to prioritize your mobility, when you stretch, strengthen, and move despite the fear or frustration, your family notices. Your children see a parent who refuses to give up. Your grandchildren watch a grandparent who chooses to keep going. You're not just taking care of yourself, you're setting an example. A grandmother who stretches every morning inspires her granddaughter to do the same. A father who practices balance exercises teaches his son that strength isn't about how much weight you can lift. It's about resilience. Your choices today create a ripple effect that reaches further than you could ever imagine. It's not just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years and passing that wisdom down. Imagine the legacy you leave behind. One where your family sees you not as someone who's slowed down with age, but as someone who adapted, who fought for their health, and who inspired others to do the same. Every small step you take is not just for you. It's for the generations watching and learning from you. But hope without a plan is just a wish. It's not enough to simply want better health. You need a move-forward plan. And that plan doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about grand gestures or overwhelming routines. It starts with small, specific actions. 5 minutes of stretching every morning. A 10-minute balance routine 3 times a week. 1 water aerobics class every Saturday. Asterisk, these aren't just tasks, they are stepping stones. A move-forward plan gives you direction, transforms hope into momentum. And the beauty of a plan is that it grows with you. As you get stronger, your 5-minute stretch turns into 10. Your balance routine becomes more challenging. Your short walks grow longer. Progress isn't a leap, it's a steady climb. Without a plan, it's easy to drift, to put off movement for tomorrow or next week. But with a plan, every day has purpose. Every stretch has meaning. Every step becomes part of a larger journey forward. And suddenly you're not just hoping for better mobility, you're building it piece by piece, day by day. In the end, this journey is about reclaiming your life one step at a time. It's not about movement for the sake of movement. It's about what movement gives back to you. It's about being able to walk down the aisle at your child's wedding without fear of falling. It's about picking up your grandchild and feeling steady on your feet. It's about gardening without wincing at every bend or dancing in the kitchen just because you can. This isn't about whether you can walk a mile or touch your toes. It's about whether you can live fully, freely, without the constant worry that your body will hold you back. Each stretch, each step, each balance pose isn't just a move. It's a reclaiming of your freedom. It's choosing not to sit on the sidelines of your own life. It's deciding that aging doesn't mean retreating. It means adapting, thriving, and pushing forward with purpose. This is your life, your body, your journey. And every step forward, no matter how small, is a step toward a future where you move not just with strength but with joy.